Welcome to Two Film Buffs. Today we're going to be looking at the top 10 facts of Dune.
Wow.
Starting at number 1, Dune has had many failed attempts. People said Dune was unfilmable, but that didn't stop some from trying. Alejandro Jodorowsky's failed try became so infamous that it became the focus of a documentary. I guess one saving grace from his attempt was that Salvador Dali was set to play Emperor Saddam. David Lynch did complete an adaptation in 1984, but it was a flop, and it continued that ever-growing uphill contest to create a great cinematic representation of the film. There was also a miniseries in 2000 that basically nobody remembers. But with a story so in-depth and compelling, it was most filmmakers' Great White Buffalo. Coming in at number 2, Dune's filming truly took place all over the world. We spent time on a couple of planets in Dune, which meant spending time in different shooting locations. For Caladan, they filmed on the Stadlandet Peninsula in Norway. The Liwa Oasis in the United Arab Emirates was used as a part of the desert planet Arrakis, and for that, the Wadi Rum in Jordan was important. At number 3, the sandworms took up a lot of production time. The sandworms of Arrakis are a big part of the lore in Dune. They waited until the very end of the first trailer to unveil a sandworm for a reason.
Presence was a huge task.
It's here!
Villeneuve and his crew put a lot of thought into creating their look. They wanted something that felt prehistoric and were influenced by whales. Ultimately, they spent a year just designing the sandworms. Flying in at number 4, the man who made Dothraki helped with Fremen in Dune. Linguist David J. Peterson is probably the only renowned language creator going today. He's the guy who created the languages of Dothraki and Valyrian for Game of Thrones, which gave him a lot of cash. Peterson worked on Dune as well, creating the Fremen language. At number 5, for such a blockbuster movie, casting went surprisingly well. With some movie productions, you hear about all the actors up for certain roles and lengthy casting sessions. That evidently wasn't the case with Dune. By all accounts, Villeneuve got his first choice for almost everybody. One notable role that involved some more extensive work was Kani. Ultimately, Zendaya won the role based on her chemistry with Charlemagne. Coming in at number 6, Dune's release was extremely messy. Dune unfortunately got caught up in the COVID-19 pandemic. It was initially scheduled for a release on November 20th, 2020, which got pushed back a couple of times until it eventually landed on October 22nd, 2021. However, it was also announced it would be released simultaneously on HBO Max. This was greeted with disappointment by legendary and Villeneuve. He even contributed a column to Variety to express his disappointment. At number 7, there's also a TV show coming for Dune. This time, Legendary is happy to give a project to HBO Max. A TV series originally called Dune the Sisterhood, but now changed to Dune Prophecy, has been announced for streaming services. It will now focus on Bene Gesserit, the mysterious order of women with supernatural powers. Villeneuve and John Spates were originally going to work on the show, but with the sequel in the works, they are no longer all that active on the project, though both are still executive producers. Flying in at number 8, Dune was also influenced by psychedelic mushrooms. The spice must flow in Herbert's Dune universe. The single most valuable commodity is by far an edible substance called melange, also known as spice. This highly addictive material was found only on the desert planet of Arrakis, where much of the action unfolds. Among its many properties are increased longevity, and in some cases the ability to see the future itself. Sound trippy? There's a reason. While conversing with fungi expert Paul Stamets, Herbert revealed that the world of Dune was influenced by a life cycle of mushrooms, with his imagination being helped along by a more magic variety. For number 9, Frank Herbert had previously experimented with Dune-esque plot elements in an uncompleted story called Spice Planet. The tale's protagonist is Jesse Lincoln, who must endure a hostile, otherworldly desert with his 8-year-old son Bari. Spice Planet touches on several topics that Dune would later explore, including drug addiction. Eventually, however, Herbert went back to the drawing board, shelving this primordial narrative en route until his son released a new story based on Frank's original outline. And lastly, we come to number 10. Dune features several nods to Zen Buddhism. As Herbert's son Brian wrote in The Dreamer of Dune, the biography of Frank Herbert, his father was attracted to Zen Buddhism, a fact reflected in Dune by the presence of fictitious religious traditions which supposedly evolved from the union of Zen Buddhism and Sufism, Islamic mysticism. Herbert was also acquainted with the writings of Zen master Alan Watts, whom he met during the 60s. Thank you for watching, and we will see you next time.